Gestaltist precogs had warned that the Ouroboros sought to absorb the mind and personality of every person on Earth. These people in Horvath didn't know how lucky they were. "Sarge." She glanced at her second sweeper specialist. He was staring intently down at the villagers tending to the vineyards on the hillside below. "What is it, Dee?" He turned to her, fear in his eyes. "Sarge, I scanned again for hostility, deeper, just in case, and I'm not reading anything. They've been hollowed." The field hands had been brain-wiped. Cochrane whirled and sent to the entire squad. "Ambush! Shields up!" Not a millisecond too soon. Automatic weapon fire erupted from the upper windows of the tavern and the closest buildings. The spray of bullets ricocheted off their telekinetic shields, illuminating them with a ghostly glare. Silver and Bradley turned to take cover, but the four villagers, or whatever they were, dropped their psychic masks and went on the attack. Both soldiers stiffened, faces locked in a rictus, and then crumpled. Hitting the ground, the squad opened up with their spindle-fed TK assault carbines, but the ambushers had raised their telekinetic shields. Peters, still on point, low-crawled closer to the outlying buildings, but didn't bother trying to blast through their shields. A highly rated pyrokinetic, he just focused his attention on first one roof, then the other, igniting a blaze on both. The rest of the squad focused their fire on the quartet, but their shields held, disc shapes glowing bright with every impact. The four turned to face them. Suddenly, Peters grabbed his head and writhed in pain, dropping and curling into a fetal position. Then Cochrane was hit. The sun exploded, ripping the skin of the shrieking sky apart in a violent, pulsating nightmare. Monstrous, disembodied human eyeballs bubbled up through the leprous ground and began devouring Kwame, their heavy gunner. His screams echoed and reverberated infinitely in her ears, while his body went twisting and stretching into impossible shapes until his torso burst open, torn inside out like a pulpy fruit mangled by a raging lunatic god. Cochrane fought to regain control of her hijacked senses, but the sensory onslaught was overpowering. The sky plunged into a crushing, hopeless black night. Abandoned by stars, the haunted moon, a howling death's head staring down on the ring of grinning corpses surrounding her, their faces melting into grave rot. They reach for her, stretching forth horrid, grasping, hungry, cadaverous clawed hands, covetous of her naked warmth. Her resistance slipped as the telepaths reached down into the amygdala region of her brain, triggering the emotional center. Forcing herself to remain calm, she tried to concentrate on the location of her four opponents, even as she felt them twisting the knife in her mind. A cyclone of a million fractaling razor blades flailing through banshee winds, ripping through her flesh, face, stomach, fingers, everywhere merciless and unstoppable, slicing her body in a universe of pure pain, 10,000 bloody wounds made of her. Cochrane screamed in agony. She struggled to stay alive long enough to pour all her mindfulness into one last telekinetic burst. If only she could... She was falling. She was on fire. She was a newborn baby being eaten alive by her own mother. A sudden, violent wrenching. The ground gave a single, quick, booming jolt, and then the pain vanished. So did the flashing hellscapes. The sergeant found herself on her knees, fingers dug deep into the turf, limbs shaking, body covered in sweat. She looked at the enemy. Her telekinetic attack had succeeded. She had reached around their line of protective shields and pulled apart the wall of the burning tavern. It had smashed them like a giant fly swatter. Behind the smoldering slab, the two closest buildings were engulfed in flames. Inside them, shooters screamed as the fire took them. Then the sound stopped. No other hostiles in sight. It was a quiet day in the beautiful countryside again, save for the crackling of burning wood and the heavy breathing of her soldiers. Myers, their squad medic, ran up. Cochrane waved her away. "I'm fine," she said in her crisp British accent. "Check Peters and Kwame." She turned to Dee. He was kneeling on the grass, his face slick with tears. The barrel of his pistol was in his mouth. "Dee?" she called to him. After a few heartbeats, he slowly pulled the gun away.